The Bernina 880 has amazing ways that you can change the decorative stitches in this machine. And we've been talking about the different ways to stitch out your stitch book. But when you get to some of the stitches and want to try to play around with some of their options, I want to show you a fun one that you can play around with. And it's called Pattern Extend. So this stitch is in our grouping of the 400s. It's stitch number 414 that I was using. So as you look at the screen, number one, its standard or default setting looks like the first stitch. And by the way, do you know that your actual stitches that you get stitched out is what you see on screen? So if you change it on screen, you're going to notice that that's exactly how it's going to come out on the fabric. Now most people think, oh, if I want it longer, I'm going to just take and make my stitch length longer. Well, yes, that extends the pattern, but look, the density, it's not going to be as full as you would have seen on the original stitch. So I'm going to clear this out and we're going to go into the I for information, and we're going to use this function here, the triangle with the two arrows pointing away from each other. In this menu, you can actually do two different things. First, I'm going to show you where you can actually extend the pattern, and that's with this first option here. So what I'm going to do is you can actually do it by the plus, which changes it just like 1% at a time. You can also move this up like so. You can just drag it up and it will change it. But if you actually touch this one, the plus 100%, let's just do it one time, and you notice that the density quickly fills back in. And so what I did was I stitched the second one at 200% elongated, and it has the same density of stitching that the first one did. I touched this again to sew out the third one, and I touched it a fourth time to sew out the fourth one. Now look, we aren't even up all the way, so you can see that we can go even further. Now this wave is going to get very, very gentle the longer and longer we make it, but that means that you can play around with these stitches infinitely. If you need to sew between here and here, those exact length, you can set it to fit exactly where you want it, because you can look at the stitch length. If you need it to fit exactly in 100 millimeters, look, we can just tap this down. Might take me a little bit, but I'm just minusing it as we get closer to 100, and then it would easily fit exactly in the length we ask it to be. So that is where we're at with this particular screen. Now there is the density option. What this does is right now the density of the stitch, like how close the stitches are, that's what's over here. So as you do a plus, you are actually spreading out the stitches, and you still can do, you know, what we were talking about. It's just now, here's why you would do it. You would do it if you had a thicker thread and you need to give it so it actually still feeds through the machine, doesn't get hung up or balled up. If you had a thinner thread, we'd take it the opposite direction. We'd put more stitches, so when it fills in nice and solid. So this is more based on the thickness of thread that you have selected, and then this is actually how long the pattern will actually be. Do take a look. If we come back to some of these other patterns, we go into I for information. If long stitch is available for that pattern, you will see that feature here, and then you can start to play around with the different settings, and it's just fun. So I hope you'll try that as you're playing with your stitch book or creating your stitch book. And again, we'll put links below this YouTube video on how to make the ultimate Bernina stitch book that you can check out. But these are ways that you can finesse these stitches into looking like other stitches, in addition to just how they were set in the machine as the default setting. If these videos have been helpful for you, make sure you give each video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be notified as we come out with more videos.